Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. It is me once again, screaming into the void of the internet. Uh, it's been a while. It has been a while. I'm just going to make a little video as more of an update video because honestly, where do I even begin? I've basically been sick for like 2 weeks. I literally could not speak. I don't understand what made me sick at all. Like I just got sick, and honestly, in that meantime, I just still came to work and I just could barely speak, but I just kept grinding it out. But I wanted to say a few things. Number one, I passed a year of working at a job. Not a job, I shouldn't say a job, but my current job. And I kind of want to just take this time to share a little bit of things that I've learned about working, at least in that industry and things like that. Not necessarily because I want you guys to work in that industry as well, but things that I've learned. If you guys are needing, and if you're trying to get out of being a NEET, and you want a little bit of observations that I've made, this is what I'd say, and I'm mainly speaking from the male perspective. I would encourage you, if you are trying to, get a job or employment, look for places that are obviously, one, understaffed, and two, incredibly busy. I know a lot of people want to get something where it feels like they don't have to do any kind of work so that they can get money for doing nothing, and I don't blame you if that's what you want, but you have to also understand that if you get a place like that and you do get the position, they're not going to give you many hours because, well, sure, they need someone to man the stations, but if there isn't much business, then you're not going to get many hours. If you're not going to get many hours, then, what's the point of working, right? For me, yeah, I don't necessarily have to work like as hard as I do, but I'm going to keep doing it because by the end of the year, I do have a goal. I'm not going to say how much I want, but I do think that I can hit 5 figures by the end of the year in savings. I do think I can do it. And I know that if I just keep grinding away, then I can make that happen. So I would encourage you again, look for places that are understaffed. Actually try visiting if you can. I know that's tougher, especially if you don't have like any kind of money at all. But, look at how busy the place is. Make sure that they're understaffed and use it to your advantage to ask for things like overtime and all kinds of stuff like that. Take the position that is the more harder in terms of manual labor than stress, because if it's going to be like a whole bunch of people and you have to deal with this stuff, I'd rather just get with the manual labor, because it's just a way to help like build your body up, keep yourself in shape. So I'd highly advise that you stick with that instead of like dealing with the customers, because I'm telling you, just by observing the customers on a regular basis and seeing what the people in front have to deal with when they have like irritating customers, it's retarded. Now that's not to say they have an easier job. They don't. It's mainly like picking your poison. The people in front pick a less physically demanding job and take the mental burden. The people in the back take less of the mental burden and take more of the physical burden. And that's kind of how I have preferred it, because I like to just be able to just be by myself and do nothing. And it's rather interesting because considering what happened that I've shared on the channel, like with the whole HR thing and the firing of several of the coworkers there, we're understaffed, and I've been taking complete advantage of it to the point where, I've been working. I'm not going to say the exact number of hours, but let's just say this recent check that I got paid was massive. It was massive. So, I just want to say that, while everyone's out here telling you that, like it's impossible to get by in this economy, and I'm not defending this horse crap economy by any means, it's all about using it to your advantage and not being stupid. Don't be stupid with your money. Don't live in places that you cannot afford, like live within your means, if not below your means. It doesn't mean that you live like a, scrub or something. The other day I just ordered some pizza and stuff like that, and it was awesome. But I don't eat out regularly. Like every time I cook, I'm saving money. Every time I just choose to just, actually spend the time in the kitchen, that is money that is kept in my pocket instead of just ordering Uber Eats or stuff like that. So always keep in mind that you can influence your situation just with small decisions. Don't always think that it's always something that you need to like do ridiculous amounts of work. It's just simple decisions saying, I'd rather just make some scrambled eggs and toast or whatever, if that's all I've got, and eat this instead of like, ordering a burger or Wingstop or whatever it is, like you can control your situation to an extent. I'm not going to pretend like you have absolute complete control, but you can control. Also, I kind of wanted to take this time to say something that kind of sucks. I was supposed to have a motorcycle, like literally for the past 2 days. Unfortunately, the person who I was going to purchase it from, he just, I guess, I don't know what the heck his deal is. Maybe he feels like he can get a better price on it. And so what he originally was like advertising it for, he now like doesn't want that and he wants more. But instead of like, telling me like, a honest person, like he just said, no. He just stopped returning my calls, stopped responding to my texts and stuff like that. So, it's whatever. I'll just have to, I'll have to look elsewhere. Now, I've got my eyes on something else, but it is more expensive, but it is also more powerful, so that is the trade-off. And considering that this guy is probably trying to jump the price back up, because originally I was just going to pay like $1,700 for it, and it was only going to go up to like 65 miles an hour. It was like a 125cc. The second one that I'm looking at, it's $3,000, but it's a 200cc, so it goes up to 85 miles an hour. So it is stronger, and I can get on the highway, although I still won't be getting on the highway. I think people are insane on highways, so but yeah. I do think that sucks, but it's no skin off my back. I just have to rely on Ubers and stuff like that still, which I really did not want to do. I really wanted to just get over these stupid Ubers and waiting and waiting and waiting. I was so ready to be over it, and now I have to wait, And it is rather irritating considering that there are sometimes people that I've noticed that are getting a little bit more, like, comfortable, shall we say, in the area that I have to wait. So, yeah. I'm not scared or anything, whatever happens, happens. I'll just bring a knife if I have to, is what it is, But it does suck because, hey, I was supposed to have this, but people are going to be people. And I'm telling you, I don't care how long it takes. I'd rather buy a used bike than go to a dealership and have these cocksuckers have the audacity to tell me that it is perfectly justifiable for them to tack on an additional like $2,000 on something that I should only be like, paying the price that's advertised. Like, no. I'm not going to do that for you people. You guys can go suck the fattest dicks that you can find. I'm not doing it. Not doing it, is what it is. Now,